Hi there, Sandra here from Createinspain, Siser, Juliet, Beginners to Pro, and Laser Love. So I've got a card here which I designed completely myself, the artwork is mine, etc. And I wanted to show you how it's actually done. I'm not going to show you the construction of this because, to be honest, it is so simple, there really isn't any great point. This particular design is made with a one-page print and cut. Well, 2 pages possibly, I'll tell you about that in a minute. And it is done with slots and tabs. The fold lines are in there, the slots are in there, the tabs are in there, and to be honest, there isn't much I can say about putting that bit together. It's very easy. Put the tabs in the slots, tape them or glue them to the back, and fold it, and you will have exactly what I've got here. Now, what I've also done is put a paper print, because this is card, I've put a paper print behind it, lined it up, glued around the edges, and then trimmed off the excess. And the reason is it just makes it look better if you've got that print there as well as the pop-up. If you have a white gap here, it just doesn't look as good. The reason I trim the excess paper around there is so that I A, get rid of any extra bulk, and B, I can glue the card then to my folded cover. Okay, so I'm not gluing the paper to it, I'm gluing the card to it. And when I glue it down, I glue just around here to the corner, here to the corner, here to the corner, and here to the corner. I don't worry about going around all these cut areas particularly. There's no great point in doing that. The way that I glue it in is I fold the insert, I fold a larger cover card, and then I simply put one to the other in the center. And so I glue down at the edges. This bit in the middle is not glued. And there's a good reason for that. These cards just tend to work better, look better, act better if they're not glued all the way in. Now, the reason for using an oversized card on the outside is so that you don't have any problem with it being centered or the edges being even. If you make this card exactly the same size as the outer card, by the time it's folded with the bulk of the extra card in there, you'll probably find that these edges won't match up. Makes your life easier. No problem then putting it together, job done. Whatever you want to put on the outside of it, that's up to you. What I'm giving you is this inside piece. But I wanted to show you different versions of the same type of cut. Now, this is one that is just a mock-up for a beginning plan, and this one I've done in 2 different ways. This side is simply cut out of the one piece, and you can see it's got exactly the same cone shape as this side has, but this side was cut with a separate cone piece, and then it's being taped with tabs on the back. So you get 2 different effects with this. If we squidge this open, you can see on this side you've got a background for this cone. On that one you don't have the background there. You have this piece here, which, depending on the shape of it, depending on what you're putting on, sometimes that can get a little bent, or it can stop things from opening and closing as well. As you can see, it's on here sometimes. So you want to consider that when you're doing your design. Some designs, it'll be fine, and other designs, maybe not so good. So you could do it all in a flat piece. Now, the reason I would do it in a flat piece is if I was making this completely plain and I was simply adding decorative bits to these, maybe adding them over the front so that they were coming much higher up, and therefore this is obscured. And again, with that, making this obscured, I would be putting things behind here. But bear in mind, you don't have an awful lot of room to stick on this bit. Now, the difference with this and this apart from the positioning, is also in the angle that you will get, because you alter the angle by having these slits cut in different places. Once you have cut this out, like so, you can't alter the angle at all. If you've cut out the base fold and just this line here, you can then take this smaller piece and you can move it around and then work out where you want your slits to be and how wide you want your comb to be. Once this is done, you can't alter it, it's done, and that's that. So those are the reasons why you might want to do it in one way or another. This is good for just a mock-up, for thinking about where things are going to go, but it's a good one to cut out and keep as an example, just so you can see what's going to happen in future with another design. This one here is the plain version, the base version of the design that I showed you, which was printed. I managed to break the tab off of this one. So you can see that this is just a cone shape with tabs on, and this one would have narrower cones than this one does because the slots are closer together, and that's how it's varied. So now I'm going to go into Shortcut Slot and just show you how to easily design these, because it's a lot easier than it looks. So how do you design the pop-up cones in the first place? So I've got a card here with a score line down the centre. I use green for my score lines, and it's just a straightforward card base. So I want a cone, and the easiest way of getting that is by using a triangle to start off with. I'm going to pull it out here, make it bigger, and turn it up the other way. And then I'm going to put some tabs on the triangle. So to do that, I'm just going to use a rectangle. Doesn't really make much difference what shape it is. And you can make them a bit longer or a bit shorter, depending on what you feel like. It really doesn't matter too much. I'll make it a bit shorter than that. And center it up to the selection. There we go. And then go to path and then union. So that's the shape with some tabs on. Very basic, no problem. Now I want to make this line here curved. Now I could do that by editing nodes, but there's another way that you can do this, which is quite easy. And because I've got to do this knife tool action in the first place, might as well do it now. So knife through the corners like so. There we go. Select and then break apart. There we are. Now this bottom part I'm going to turn green because that's my score line or fold line. Okay. And just realised I don't need to have a score line for that. This is all cut line. Oh dear, my brain's gone dead this morning, I swear. Okay, this is all cut line. Not to worry. But this line here, I want to bend up. So if I go to Effects and I go to Bulge, just drag this over and click on the top offset. Like so. I can get a good bulge on it. Click on OK. And I've got that set up really well. So this line here would go in here for my my individual cutout cones. So I'm going to copy that one, paste it. Here we go. And this one here, oops, come on. I'm going to put there, I'm going to center it up. So center it. And then I'm going to grab that and make it longer so that it's the size I need it to be. So that would be my cutout cone, my little cone, although it's quite big at the moment. So just group that, and that is ready done. Now this copied one here, which is
not all one shape at the moment. Now that needs to be a cut line, but those need to be score lines. So on this one, I make that turn green. There we are, because this is going to be the big cone. And then the other thing that I need to do is to take this line here and go for the nodes and just delete those nodes. So that's relatively easy to do. Just grab hold of that and just delete. So I've now got my triangle in the same shape as this one, but it just doesn't have the tabs on it. And I'm going to group that and put this in the middle here. So come over here and middle of selection, there we go. So this is my basic card base with the first cone that will fold out. And this is going to be a cone that goes in and slots in. So I need to do another one of these. So I'm just going to copy it and paste it. Now, if I want it to be a different size, I can do that. So I can switch that off and make it narrower, for example. But it's still got the center fold mark in there and it's still got the tabs. So that's great. So the difficulty I have now is that this one needs to go on that line there. Now I find it quite difficult to do when lines are not truly vertical or horizontal. So what I'm going to do is to group this, and I'm going to pull out a guideline from the ruler here. So this is a vertical guideline. Put that there, and then using this little handle, I am going to turn it to get that over that guideline. That is almost there, not quite. Let's put it there, oh, a bit too much. A little bit over. There we go, that's definitely close enough. So now I've got a vertical guideline to line this up against, which means I don't have to turn this one around at all. I can just do that. So this one here, I am going to lock. And then what I need to do is to decide where my score line, or my cut line, sorry, is going to go, my slot line for my tab. So I can go to the library, get a line here, and I can move that into place. So I would move that so that it is pretty much parallel, if not actually on that line, it needs to be parallel to that line. And that is why I locked the cone, because it gets difficult to do otherwise. Just want to move it just a fraction, and that will probably do it. Now I can copy and paste that and make it the same over here. So I can take that one, copy it, paste in place, turn it over here, and then do that. There we go. So that would be where my line's going to go. So I'm going to go to Object and Unlock All, pick this up and move it out of the way. And you can see that I've got my slot lines here. Now I could move them closer together if I wanted to. That would be fine. So if I move that one by 1, and I take that one, and I move that in by 1, they've both moved by the same amount. Now if I want it to be symmetrical on this side, then I can do that. I simply put this back up to the vertical, but I need to group it all first. So let's just take all that and group it. And I can move that so that is vertical. Put it on the guideline and make sure it matches up to that guideline so that I can do the rest of it. So that's how you can use a guideline to help you when it comes to putting your smaller pieces in place and working out where they're going to go. I mean, you can do it just by rotating and moving this. I just find it easier to do when things are vertical or horizontal. That's just me. So if you're like me, you will find that easier to do. I find it easier to match up a vertical line with a vertical line. So those are the slots, and that will go into there. And if you've done a different sized triangle, you will need to do the same thing on the other side. So we would put that in place, line that up, and that's almost but not quite right. I just find it really hard to do that. Okay, there we go, that one's lined up. And then my slot lines would go down here and down here. So that's how you construct it. It's relatively simple. Give it a go, do some test ones, just use some scrap card that you don't like and cut out different versions of the file. And then you'll be able to see what the end result is going to be and whether it suits the particular design you have in mind. Sometimes it's easier to make a design and then think, what folds can I do? And other times it's easier to do the folds and then think, what design can I slot around that? And in the case of cones and ice creams and things, it's relatively easy to do that. For the design, the drawing itself, what I did was I exported the whole file, put it into Procreate as a bottom layer, put layers on top of it, and then went to town drawing. And then I exported the drawing file to become a print and just lined it up. So yeah, that was relatively simple. Hope you found this useful, and hope you give pop-ups a go, because they are great fun to make and even more fun to receive. Kids really do love them, and quite a lot of adults. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.